GM. Good morning, everybody. Awesome. Welcome to Takeoff Tuesday. Awesome. Hi, Tim, Ben, Gilda. Everybody's here. Ashley, Heidi, GM. Sweet. Got a little switch up on the schedule here. So Mr. Bill Predabon is traveling today and will be joining us later on in the week. So not today. But you know what? I was talking to him last night about he's got to go put out some fires, right? Essentially go solve a problem with his real estate business. Part of the territory. And I just was telling him the other day, like, I would way rather be putting out fires like this, which are not fun. I get it. Than sitting in traffic for 2 hours a day, an hour here, an hour there. The trade-offs. There's always a trade-off. That's one thing we got to remember. There's no gaining only. It's always a trade-off. Whether you're trading security, or you're trading time, or you're trading effort, or you're trading profit, or you're trading tax, or trading time, you're trading interest, you're trading equity. There's always a trade-off. And even when we make new monetary policies or fiscal policies, there's always a trade-off somewhere. And so the people who recognize that there are trade-offs can go in eyes wide open when they're making a new plan. And when you don't recognize the trade-offs, and you're living in a false reality. There's always going to be a trade-off, never a trade-up. And the socialists never understood that. They always thought that they were gaining something, but no, they were trading liberty. They were trading freedom. And yeah. Anyway, my point is, we are so blessed and highly favored that whatever mess you find yourself in, cleaning up your real estate business, putting out a fire, fixing something, is absolutely worth it compared to the normie life that we're escaping from, or at least that I escaped from. That normie life is dangerous. It looks safe. It looks comfortable on the outside, but no. It is, the trade-offs to me aren't worth it in the long run. Of course, in the short term, you got to do what you got to do. No big deal. But make sure that your plan, your long-term 10-year, 20-year plan for your life includes extreme self-sovereignty. Cool. Okay, well, I got my iPad up, so we're going to do some drawings. We're going to go to the whiteboard. Since we don't get Bill for the day, I could do a Bill impression for you guys later today if you'd like. But I wanted to do some drawing, some scenarios, some what ifs. Big shout out to Michelle and Frankie last night. They did a follow-up. I was on there with them, and their students buying a combo. 2 meetings. That's all it took. It took, I think it was over a 3-week period, right? Because they have a new 3-month-old baby or something, very young baby. So having to work out some schedules, but they're in. And anyway, let's make sure we're sticking to the good habits real quick. We're going to read the self-confidence formula and personal initiative, because that's what changes our lives. Let's get in the habit of this. Here we go. Self-confidence formula. If anyone else would like to read it, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to keep doing it. It's working on my subconscious mind, just like yours. All right. Self-confidence formula by Napoleon Hill. First, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. Second, I understand that the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon thinking of upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion that any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek some practical means, will seek some expression through some practical means of attaining the object or position I desire. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I've clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim, and I will always work until I develop sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that wealth or position can long endure when built upon truth and justice. I will only engage in transactions that will benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve them. I've eliminated hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism, and I've developed a love for all of humanity because I know that a positive attitude towards others will always bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day in full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions, so I will become a self-reliant and successful person. GM. Okay, initiative and leadership. Having chosen a definite chief aim as my life work, I now understand it to be my duty to transform this purpose into reality. Therefore, I will form the habit of taking some definite action each day that will carry me one step near the attainment of my definite chief aim. I know that procrastination is a deadly enemy of all who become leaders in any undertaking, and I will eliminate this habit from my makeup by doing some one definite thing each day that ought to be done without anyone telling me to do it. By looking around until I find at least one thing I can do each day that I've not been in the habit of doing and that will be of value to others without expectation of pay. C. Telling at least one other person each day of the value of practicing this habit of doing something that ought to be done without being told to do it. I can see that the muscles of the body become strong in proportion to the extent in which they are used. Therefore, I understand that the habit of initiative also becomes fixed in proportion to the extent that it is practiced. I realize that the place to begin developing the habit of initiative is in the small, commonplace things connected to my daily work. Therefore, I will go work each day as if I were doing it solely for the purpose of developing this necessary habit of initiative. I understand that by practicing this habit and taking the initiative in connection with my daily work, I will not only be developing the habit, but also I will be attracting the attention of those who will place a greater value on my services as a result of this practice. Yes, GM to that. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Excellent. GM, everybody, Freddie, Deborah, Michelle, Kenny, Eric, Erica, Katrina, and owner's iPhone. GM to you too. Okay, so for those of you who were paying attention, you saw the big announcement from corporate about the VIP tickets being having the perk of being able to bring unlimited guests to the E3 Summit, whether that's online or in person. Since that announcement came out, how has that either changed what you're going to do or enhanced your understanding of the opportunity? What questions do you have about it? Again, I'm going to be switching to the whiteboard in a minute, so we'll be writing out some ideas. Any questions about the latest announcement on VIP tickets? Okay. Next question is, how many of you have upgraded to your VIP ticket so you can bring unlimited guests?
Good morning, Michael. I am a VIP. I do have a question on the the QR link that Bob puts out on his InvestFest for the intro and getting him, now that
Yeah.
goes directly to him, correct?
You're talking about at the end of the Invest Edge when they say, hey, book a meeting or a call.
Correct.
That goes to Matt Snyder.
Okay.
And then he will take whatever info those people need, and depending on what market they're in, he will then send that lead to that market leader, wherever that is.
Okay. So unless that we already got them in our system and protected, that sending somebody there would be a loss.
Yeah, I mean,
that was my concern. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I see what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, corporate has to make like this big catch-all net for everything to flow into,
Sure.
so we can maximize the opportunity. But yeah, we do need to be putting our own leads and guests in the calendar. So, but the good news is that very few people have gone into that system that weren't protected. So, everyone's doing a much better job now than they were 6 months ago when it came to calendar, guest protection, staying organized with your leads. So, big improvement on that, guys. Keep it up. Just make that a daily habit. 5 minutes in the calendar every day, putting your guests in.
Cool. I appreciate you. Thanks. Is Vanessa coming to the E3?
She is not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Remington's birthday in a couple weeks, which is like right around the timing we need to be going. So grandmas and everybody's coming into town, and we're gonna make a big party of it, and then they'll have an extended stay while I'm gone. So it'll be
Well, happy
fun.
early birthday. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wish they would come with me. But well, we were just talking about it. There's a trade-off for everything, right? If I brought them,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do this or that. But if I do bring them, I get this and that. So yeah, it's
yeah, it is. It's a juggle. Okay.
cool. It's a couple more weeks. I get to hang out, guys.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, so when you are planning out time you're going to spend on building for this workshop, building for the event, I know some people are intending on making 50 or $100,000 on that weekend, and some people are just planning on filling up a notebook of ideas. Both are great. Good morning, Tim. Are you off mute for fun or on purpose? Oh, he's out.
Purpose. But you want to talk about that? Do you mind if I have ask a question real quick?
Yeah, I want to talk about what you want to talk about.
So yes, E3 Summit, awesome, and thank you for the information about the VIP. That's awesome. So I have been wanting to invite my guests to house tours, but there doesn't seem to be very many house tours in my market for some reason. Is there have you had any conversation with any of them, any of the people about house tours and in terms of like inviting guests and the effectiveness of that recently?
Let's check the
Or
calendar because my understanding was that there was a backlog of house tours and we had to start telling people no. Um,
when
and
they
yeah,
in house tours, I
to
mean like I know in terms of the online ones, we have like in my market, the live house tours, um Richard Stock just says maybe once every 3 weeks. Although last week he had like two in a week.
yeah, they're going to start ramping them up even more for the next month or so as we get closer to E3, and then anyone who joins during that time, they're going to want to see some house tours too. So there's going to be a bunch afterwards as well. Now some are in English, some are in Spanish. Right here, property tour for Salt Lake City. But you got to call Fernando.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess one thing that I was thinking of doing myself was on Wednesday from 7 to do a to start doing the online house tours again.
Oh, interesting.
And how that would work out for, and if that's something that would help everybody's schedule. Because I think what I would love to do is do that and then invite people to the Thursday meeting and say, hey, Wednesday night, here's a taste. Come on Thursday. Let's go full blow, let's go full blast. And then
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, let's talk more about that. Because that does sound pretty interesting. But as far
Okay.
as like in person, it looks like Fernando and Miriam are doing them every Wednesday at 7 in person. So that's in Spanish. Mitch and Maley are doing them looks like once a month as well. So, there's 4 to 8, depending on if you're doing Richard's, Mitch's, and Fernando's. And then there's this Saturday one with Scott and Umair. 2 or 3
Mhm.
times a month. So yeah, it's
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it just seems like there's nothing consistent like in terms of the consistency thing. So if I were to say, hey, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, do an awesome, a house tour for an hour long, intro, house tour
Ooh.
intro.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ryan Dodge is doing it on Mondays, and he's got a powerful story. Maybe we could team up with him because Wednesday's kind of full for our team, right? But Monday night, now that Invest Edge is in the afternoon, Monday nights are pretty open. And Ryan's done like almost 300 deals now. So that would be pretty neat to maybe
Oh
team up
yeah.
with. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll reach out to Ryan. I'll reach out to Ryan then.
cool. Yeah, maybe
That's a
ask
good
him for
idea.
a
Thank you.
couple recordings and we can watch what he's been doing and see how we can team up.
Sweet.
Looks like
Yep,
Ryan
got
would be following the Invest Edge.
yeah, yep. Right after Invest Edge, and then we hop onto a deal breakdown and
Yeah, it would be good to see about getting some of his recordings. That would be awesome too. Because
cool.
Scott and Umair, they have theirs recording on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, we have the undeniably best system for taking a complete novice, totally ignorant of the process and moving them to becoming a sophisticated, successful real estate investor. We have the best process for that. And between the property tours, the epics, the conferences, the cash flow games, the briefings, the masterminds, the only reason people fail is because they quit. They quit on themselves. And that's a damn shame, especially if they got kids and their kids are seeing them become quitters. Oh, terrible. Now, pivoting is something different. I get that, but it's just straight up quitting. It's going to haunt you. Never quit. Never give up.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody tried doing, because I don't have any property tours in my area. One for, we're high dollar over here in Orange County, California. Two
Mhm.
is like, has anybody tried getting together with a realtor and utilizing their open house as a property tour?
We used to do that. Yeah, when I started up my new market in Denver and we didn't have any property tours. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's all coming back to me. Okay, so here's what we would do. And if I were tasked with starting a new market, here's what I would do again. It worked out great. So, yeah, we call a realtor that looks that has a listing that looks like a potential deal for us. It fits our general parameters. And then what I would do is I would tell them, hey, I'm going to be bringing my entire team through this. And we'd go and a few of us would go meet the realtor about a half hour before the event started. So let's say it's 11 on a Saturday. We'd go at 10:30, meet the realtor and say, hey, here's what we do. We buy houses, we sell houses, we make a lot of buyers. It'd be great if you could stick around and talk a little bit about the property, not so much yourself, but about the property. And then what I'm going to do is take a bunch of potential buyers through it, right? Students and guests. And we're going to talk about the numbers. We're going to talk about what the repairs are needed, what needs to be changed as far as curb appeal and what we would list it for, how we would market it. Are we going to change the bed, bath, all that stuff? And I bring a big old whiteboard and we'd walk through the property for about 20 minutes. We'd all take notes and, we'd bring our guests too. And we would just position this as an analysis. We're going to analyze this deal and see if this is something we want to buy. Join us for a hands-on analysis. And I'd get out the whiteboard and a couple markers. Always have backup markers, okay? And then we just go through the numbers. Here's what they're asking. And we would tally it all the way down, repairs, everything, costs, agent fees. And we look at the number. Oh, is that going to work? No, we need to change asking price. And we would just do a number exercise for the remaining 20 or 30 minutes. Probably closer to like 15 actually, because then another 10 minutes to build for the next event, which would be either a cash flow game or the epic. And so the guests would see we're doing stuff, right? We're opening doors, we're looking, we're meeting people. The ICMs would see, they'd be putting, the class stuff that they saw online into practice in the field. And so it was becoming more real for them. And it would just spur more conversations. We get a higher attendance at the weekly meeting. And whether we bought the property or not, we're still taking action. We're still helping people see through this new lens of real estate entrepreneurship. And it was fantastic. And we grew the Denver market to a multi-million-dollar office just from marketing, not counting any of the real estate. Millions of dollars came out of the Denver office for our ICMs. So, and that's how we started for like the first 4 or 5 months. We did it that way until we got our own deal.
Cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And he, so at the bottom of the 2008, 2009 financial crisis, corruption, scam, theft, there's a lot of words that are accurate for that situation. Then we normally have a 7 to 10 year cycle of up, down, and then back up again. And so from 2009, you'd say, okay, in a 7-year cycle, that's 2015, 2016. Then we're pushing 2017. And I'm watching this stuff going on my guys any day. This thing's going to pop 2018, 2019. I'm like, we're in Denver watching people offer $800,000 on a $600,000 house. And we're like, why are you doing this? And they would have to sign disclosures. They'd have to get insurance, gap insurance, a third lender to pay over appraisal price. Now, paying over asking price is one thing, but paying over appraisal price, and then you're paying 10, 15, 20% over appraisal price, insane. And people kept doing it. And then, of course, the pandy happens. And instead of a real estate reset, where it would bring prices back down, people could afford it, flush out the paper hands, and we go back into a healthy market. They just went to the money printer and held their finger down on the print button for 2 years straight. And so these real estate markets never had the reset that for the last 80, 90 years, that's been a tradition. So, yeah, watching people go crazy like that in Denver, Seattle, Phoenix, Miami, Houston, all those places went absolutely nuts like that. But all those places, we had amazing Renatus offices and kept our students out of hot water. we would often, when we'd go on these property tours, before we got our own, they would be like a lot of wholesalers would try to send us deals. So we would take the whole office, the whole guest group to a wholesaler's pitch. And we'd go, Saturday morning, listen to them try to sell us a deal. Of course, I would stand in front of the group. This isn't our guy. We're not buying from him. We're just listening. We're analyzing and letting him know, hey, this is our group of potential buyers, students, partners that are working with us. And by no means am I endorsing this person. I have to say it respectfully, but also clarify, like, because this guy's speaking with me on our stage, it's a house. I'm not saying we're buying this house. I'm not saying this is a good man. I'm not saying get his phone number and work with him. And you have to say it. You have to protect your whole group. Although, that person might have some feelings about it, that wholesaler, but I don't care. You got to be protecting your group. And so anyway, we found a lot of good wholesalers that way. We found some fix and flipper people that were screwing their deals up, and we'd buy their properties mid-project because they didn't know how to finish it. And then we turn that into a property tour, and everybody would get some hands-on experience. It's really fun starting a group because getting the hands-on experience, negotiating with the window contractor, and then the roof guy, and then the permits, and just going through the whole process as a group was a ton of fun. Now our group is enormous, so it's a little harder to do that. But here it's an opportunity for all of you guys on the call, guys and gals, is making your own micro groups inside the bigger group, right? There's no reason why you don't have your little team inside of a bigger team inside of the area team. That's what I would do. Because when I first got started, for example, Richard and Raul basically controlled all of Utah. And so I was enrolled under Richard's team, but I'd also go to Raul's stuff. His was on Wednesdays and Richard's was on Thursdays, and different north and south of the area. And so there's the bigger team, the Utah team. And then there was Richard's and Raul's teams. And then inside of Richard's team, I had my own recruits, and we were called Secret Team Banff. And we would meet Thursday nights at 10 p.m. So after the meeting, after the guests and everybody, then I would have my own team meeting. We'd go into a different office. And, I got the key from Richard so we could stay till midnight or whatever we wanted. And I would run my own smaller team meeting from, 10 p.m. to midnight. And, we'd work on personal development, we'd work on the deals themselves, we'd work on recruiting, closing our customers, because we had just left the Thursday night meeting, so it was perfectly primed to talk about, Christian, when you brought your guest over to me and you started telling me how awesome your guest is, instead of telling your guest how awesome I am, you took away the conversational power from me and gave it to them. And that's why the conversation went zigging and zagging, and it was a lot harder to time down to the appointment. For example, we could give our team members like real-time feedback on how they were conducting themselves at the meeting. Austin, hey man, every time you get up to go get water in the back of the room, it looks like you're leaving. I know you're just getting water and then you come sit back down, but the 5 people around you, they don't know you're getting water. They think you're leaving. So that next few minutes while I'm talking, they're thinking, should I leave too? Because he just left. Should I leave too? They're not even listening. So Austin, sit down the whole time. I don't care if you're thirsty. How do you think I feel? I'm the one talking. I'm thirsty too. And Austin would finally get it, and everyone else would adjust. And we became such an efficient sales machine, which is why we became number 1 several years in a row, is the meeting after the meeting. So all of you who are here on the line need to do 2 things. You need to recruit and you need to study. So you might as well combine them. Combine both. Leverage. There's a ton of overlap if you do it right. And then each business feeds each other. So questions or ideas about that so far? And then, yes, Eric, let me work on that while we're doing this. Actually, let's see. Jasmine's here on the line. Jasmine, do you remember in March we did a call where Mike Villa shared his story about like using crutches and he was limping on the train to get to his job. And anyway, he had a fantastic 25-minute story. Do you know if that one got uploaded to our channel or is that in the Zoom archives?
I am not sure about that one.
Okay. No worries. Eric, I will put that in my reminder and we'll find that for you. We will succeed. Okay. So Eric, Zoom links. All right, so we need questions or clarification for what I've been talking about with offices, property tours, meetings after meetings, team creation. Cool.
And just a team meeting edification
I have a
expectations
question.
has to be set.
Yep, exactly, Deborah. GM Christine, good morning.
Good morning. I sing the good morning song to my daughter that's from Singing in the Rain.
Oh,
good morning to you.
lovely. Absolutely.
So I actually have two questions. One is related to what you just asked, so I'll ask that one first. I'm going to be hosting Cashflow game nights in my local library in Springville, Utah, because I'll probably go to, well, actually, I'm deciding this week. I'm going to continue going to Mitch and Maley's probably once to twice a month, and then hosting mine down further for the Southern Utah County people. And I was
Cool.
talk with them about it again because I want to be like the local leader down here. Oh my gosh, it's like even to Lehigh, sometimes it's a 45-minute hour drive and you get a lot more drop off when people have to hit the point of the past the point of the mountain. So
Yep.
Provo is a really great market. And I just think there's a ton of people here. And I saw Richard Stock at the Springville farmers market and Bruce and different people. I was like, okay, you guys are coming down here, like, let's do it. So
There's obviously a desire, yeah.
yeah, he said there's actually a lot of great conversion down here because people are just ready for it. Anyway, so I was wondering if it would make sense for me to use Mitch and Maley's recorded video as something that they watch in one room and then other people come and play the cash flow game, or kind of like how best to set up a night like that.
I have a cash flow PowerPoint for you.
Okay.
That will do a ton of the teaching and cover some of the stuff lightly about what Mitch does, but no, I would not do the recording in the other room. You want big energy all in one room. So let me get you the link to this PowerPoint.
So cash flow PowerPoint.
Yeah, so then you just swap out a couple things about you in the intro slide, and then if everyone is interested, I can actually go over how to deliver this real quick. Do you guys want to?
I also want to know how I can put events on the Helios so I could market it there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes. Are you putting it in the chat or emailing it to us?
I put it in the chat there, so you can just copy paste that link, and it'll take you to the slides.
Thank you.
When you go to the who's that? I'm in a different mode.
Ada, I'll wait.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So up here is Christine, where you would create your event. So you're in the calendar. Then on the top right, create event, single session, most likely. Multi-sessions are going to be like regionals and different stuff that's 2 days or like an AM, PM, and you want guests in morning,
Okay.
then it's another. But more often than not, you're going to do single. Then down here, you're going to select your category. So if you're going to do the cash flow game, super easy,
Yeah.
right? And then it has a pre-built description in here. Okay. If you
Okay.
want to change anything about what's in here, then you're going to click unlock. It's going to say, hey, if you edit this title and description, the event will require corporate approval. If you leave the title as described, then it will be instantly published to the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would edit it, and then I would put Cashflow 101 night in your city so that it's a little more clear when you go on the calendar. And then just email corporate, or even use the little chat button down here. Hey, I just put in an event. Will you please approve it? But if you like the description and you don't want to change it, then just reset to default. Here, you do need to check at least one of these boxes. The easiest one is going to be the education disclosure packet, because for compliance sake, every time we give a pitch, we are not saying 100% of every single thing about the program, because it's too much information for people to sit in a chair. They need to be able to read it, and everyone reads at different times. So anyway, we give the highlights. We're always honest and ethical with what we say and do, but the regulators require nitty-gritty, detailed everything. So we just put it in the packet. Now, if we're talking about comp plan, Super Saturdays, and I would put the combo packet in here, because then they get to see the comp plan ins and outs of an ICM, as well as the program, how to pay for it, and all that. But bare minimum education packet. The other thing you're going to do is select registrars. Who's going to help you do your check-ins?
Mm-hmm.
So like I have a lot of people in different parts of the country, depending on what events I'm doing, who I will have help do check-in and check-out. So you'll select the registrars in there too. So that's event setup, event details. So if you have an address, park somewhere, don't do this, don't do that, you'll put that in step 2. Step 3, make sure you have a nice profile pic, because they're going to put your picture on the event speaker. And then, are there fees? Yes or no? And then requirements, is this student only? Is this ICM only? Or is this open to everybody? And then publish.
Okay. That's awesome. The second question I had was, in inviting people to E3, I just saw or heard you say that if we upgrade to VIP, then we have unlimited tickets for guests. Is that right?
Totally. Check
Because
this out.
that's huge in
Yeah.
our.
Yep, absolutely. So if you have your general admission ticket, then you can upgrade right here.
So just check my emails.
Yep, it's going to
Not
look
a
like this in the
summit
title.
update. Summit.
And then they're going to give you a separate link, which they built out of Go High Level. And I was actually bragging about you a little bit, Christine. So you might end up having some time with Jay to not fix something, but improve.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then you'll get a separate link to give out to your guests, just so it stays organized. It doesn't charge them, obviously, but you do want to keep it organized. So that once you do that, then you'll get a link from corporate.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. All right, because yesterday, well, speaking of Go High Level, I was in there making calls to people, and I was actually following one of Alex Hermosi's "Get Your Next 5 Customer Outreach" messages, and like superimposing that with Renatus.
Nice.
And it's actually really cool because it's the side door approach. So you're just like catching up with people. And one lady I met at the 10X Growth Conference that Grant Cardone does last year, and she is super impactful in her state. Anyways, her name's Paula, and I just connected with her as a person rather than just being like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to come straight up? And because I was reconnecting with her, she's like, oh yeah, I'd love to hear what you've got going on. And then we scheduled a time and we're going to talk later. And then a couple others, it's like that, but it's warming up the relationship again and reaching out. I wanted to ask you, with it being so close to E3, do you recommend that I do just straight up ask people, or if should I do like this more like warm approach in categorizing people into the 4 buckets?
Depends on how much time you have. Honestly, it's gonna be a little bit different for each person. Sniping or shotgun, right?
Yeah.
I think because the E3 is gonna be so well rounded and can apply to so many different types of investors and experience levels
Mm-hmm.
that getting straight to the point would be more effective because then you can build relationships at the event.
Okay.
And if you have your VIP ticket, they're doing a Wednesday night meet and greet thing as well. And then on Thursday night, this is something else I just got clarity on. If you have a VIP ticket on Thursday night, they're doing the instructor panel from 7:30 to 9. So the event's over at 6, everyone goes home. But if you got VIP and you're going to stick around, do some networking, and then come to the instructor panel where you can ask everybody questions and do some more networking. Then on Friday, they are doing a storytelling workshop on your real estate and how to be more effective with your storytelling. As a VIP person, that'll be on Friday night as well. So there's 2 other bonus sessions for being VIP. But yeah, while you're there with your people, I've seen other ICMs. To me, it seemed over the top when I first saw it, but then as she unfolded, I was like, oh wow, and it really paid her well. She had a little welcome kit for all of her guests that registered. She had a little bottle of water, a little notebook, and like some granola bars or something. So she was like, hey, I saved you some seats. Come sit next to me. And her name was Shelly. And yeah, she had like 10 bags set up. So as each guest showed up, she handed them and they just felt taken care of all weekend. And she cleaned up. She had not only raised a boatload of capital, but a bunch of them decided to sign up too. So,
Oh, love that. That's so cute.
right. I've never done that, but watching that happen, I was like, that's extra right there. And if I was one of those guests, I would really appreciate it.
It probably only cost her like $15 each person.
Yep. Yep. And then she moved from the front row to the middle where, they could all sit with her. And she just, was the ideal chaperone because it's a big event, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of people and a crazy schedule and it's loud and it's fast. And so be thinking about taking care of them and you'll see magic happen. The trap though is trying to take care of yourself. You go, this big event, so many people. What do I need? What do I need? Me, 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 me.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get some, but you won't get a lot with that approach. So definitely think about others.
Servant leadership. Yep.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I'm excited. I'll just be a straight shooter until E3 and then I can keep warming up the rest of the audience for
Perfect.
Cashflow.
Let's have a $50,000 weekend, huh?
Oh yeah, Katrina does this. So if you guys need swag and put your logo on it, you can make your notebooks.
Nice. Especially if you're looking to give them stuff. There you go. Katrina knows.
Quick question, Michael. Sorry. Or
Yes, ma'am.
Christine. I
Go
was
ahead.
curious if we could have a link for the for Mitch's latest recording.
Yes.
This is for people that I have like that I'm sending recordings to.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does a great job. Let's see, it's right. Okay, so we're gonna go, I'm gonna grab that and then we're gonna go over the cash flow PowerPoint. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I'm gonna have to find it in here. And the cash flow is great. It does the perfect 4-bucket self-sorting thing too. It's really 3 buckets because the last bucket people just don't show up, so not a big deal. But you're going to find active partners, passive partners. When I was hosting the cash flow game, I did something different for my guests than if I was sitting at the table someone else was hosting and I'm working with my guests. So we'll go over both sides. Let me just grab this link for Ada real quick. And while I'm doing that, everyone else, at least copy the link that I just put in the chat for the PowerPoint. so that you can pull it up when you need it. And because yeah, when we end this Zoom, it's gonna end the chat, right? Where is that? Is that it?
Hey, Huggins,
Yes, sir.
when are they still doing the cash flow game at the headquarters this next month or October?
Yeah. Yep. Once a month. That'll go under Richard's name.
Gotcha. Maybe we'll promote that as well, leading up to E3.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really hard to ignore when you're in that big, beautiful building and everything's just creating legitimacy, I guess would be the word, right? Because the question the guest is always asking is, will this work for me? I see it's worked for Eric, and I see it's worked for Christine. Is it going to work for me? And if we can get a yes, if we can get them to say yes to their own question, to that question they're asking themselves, then they're in. And it looks like I need to look somewhere else. Ada, so I'm going to make a note and grab that for you. Yep. Okay, it's not where I thought it would be, but I will get it to you.
Thank you.
I like all the pictures in your PowerPoint, Michael.
Yeah, we made it a ton of fun. I hit a lot of slides towards the bottom for you guys. So just depending, and I think, oh yeah, this one has the old pricing. So you're gonna have to go in here and edit a few of these things. So, and that's something too, is some people don't pitch the education at the cash flow game. They just pitch come to the next one. But when we were starting our new offices, my whole premise was, hey, we work so hard to get everybody here. I might as well tell them the price. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing. When you give someone the price, you got yourself a 2-hour workshop, and we spent, an hour and 45 minutes on the cash flow in the game. We got the last 15 minutes to set the premise about who and why and what. They guests understand as long as you tell them, like, hey, this isn't the whole picture, but I just want to be upfront and honest with you and let you know that we are an education company. We have a program. It's absolutely worth it. You're going to love it. Here's the high level of what we're offering. You don't have to make a decision now, but just so you know that this is why we're so excited. This is why we're so successful. Isn't just the board game. It's this entire system. And I only have a few more minutes with you tonight before we got to go, but just know that we would love to sit down with you one-on-one, personalize your strategies, or you can come to another workshop and get all the details about the program and just give them the high level package price, who we are. It would start, right? So this was always fun. I would just tell my story in stick figures about what I was trying to do, how I found Renatus, but the mess that I was in. Then I talk about how we're the solution. What have we done? Pictures of communities, award ceremonies, best of state. We give to charities. And, this was depending on what you're trying to accomplish in your real estate world is the different packages of classes. You can get each class for $1,250. That'd be over $100,000 one-time cash discount. Obviously, I need to update some of these, but that's okay. Don't let money hold you back. Package. By the way, and then this is where I'd get some pushback from some of my ICMs. They'd be like, why did you have to bring up that there's a commission? Like, that's a leadership opportunity right there. If you got a team member that's coming to you saying about this slide, why did you tell our guests that there's this? I got to look at them with a smirk. Everybody deserves this opportunity. Everybody needs to know that they can make referral sales and make $12,000, or they can do real estate and make as much money as they want. I look at it as everyone deserves this opportunity. It was shown to me on my first meeting. Why should we wait 3 or 5 or 10 meetings before they get to find out that they could have brought 3 people this week and made 10 grand? So I tell everybody because that's what I would want. When you silo it in the conversation, you just say, hey, if none of you care about it, that's fine. I don't have to bring it up. Or if you individually want to come and talk to me, I'll show you how I made $1 million doing this. But just so you guys know, if you hate your job and you need money fast and you want to make a big change, you want to hang out with real estate investors, bring 10 people. We'll pay you. So always use that slide. Yep. Okay, so when setting up the game, change your name right here. Setting proper expectations. The more you play this game, the richer you become. And that's why we play it every week or every month. In fact, I went back and counted once, and I have participated in the Cashflow 101 event over 500 times, whether hosting it or playing it. 500 times. So the more you play this game, the richer you become. Then this is where you need everyone's attention. This is how you're going to win. And then constantly as a facilitator, I'm telling people to shut up at their tables. Maybe shut up, but hey guys, focus. Pay attention. You're going to want to miss this or you're going to be poor the rest of your life, right? Like rounding up their attention because the game is in front of them. And ooh, how often do we get to play a game? So anyway, you got to make some rules with your team members. Anyone who's going to host this. 0 conversations while the presenter is up. Just constantly shushing people, right? The banker who's going to be dealing out the cash, and then you got all the players on the game. If you're going to tell your bankers to shush everyone constantly, if the presenter's talking, pay attention or you're going to be poor the rest of your life. Then when we get back into the game, I'll answer all of your questions. I want you to win. I want you to win. We're all going to play, but shush, he's talking or she's talking. Quick side note on that. Several months in a row while we got this thing kicked off, I would do a banker training 30 minutes prior to the event. Any ICM, any team member who wants to be a banker at the Cashflow game, we need to do a little extra training on do's and don'ts as the banker because you have a position of authority at your table. And this isn't just playing the game. Literally hundreds of thousands of dollars are at stake every event between the amount of commissions that we can make and the amount of capital we can raise and deals we could do. There's a lot at stake. So it's not just, let's play a game. Okay. So the bankers need to be on point that this is business, not game. So especially on this slide here, when we're going over how to fill out the sheet. One thing you got to do is about once a minute during workshops like this is ask the group a question. So on this slide, I asked a question. How many of you know how to fill out one of these? How many of you have seen one of these? How many of you have been updated one of these forms in your own household? Very few hands go up. Of course, our team members' hands go up, but then it creates this awareness around a need. Wait a minute. And then I say this line from Robert Kiyosaki. This is your new report card in life. The bankers, the business people you're going to interact with, do not care what kind of grades you got in high school and college. They don't care about your report card. No one's ever going to care. What they're going to care about is if you can fill out a form like this. This is the new report card of life. So if you don't know how to fill this out, pay attention. Tonight could change your life forever. Pay attention. Okay. And then we'll go into income statement and balance sheet. And there's only 6 sections on this. The first part, the income statement, expenses and income. And then we got the balance sheet, assets and liabilities. And then I'd orient them to the board. Here's your find a dream, find a, and then this part's wild too, because a lot of people don't dream. They, go into this, fun slide I have right here. Most people don't dream. So how many of us are like this? We have a big giant dream and we know that we need some more tools or something to go for it. And so I thought my way of connecting to my dream, which is be a race car driver back at, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, race car driver. That's my profession. That's my dream. Anyway, most people on their way to their dream end up shrinking it because they fell into some sort of trap that looked like an opportunity. So most people don't dream. So when you're on the cash flow board game, you need to have them pick a dream. Then after about 10 seconds, everyone's leaning over the board. Bankers, help your team members pick a dream. And then I will announce, I'll make a big joke. I don't know if you can see it right here. This square says divorce. There's divorce, there's tax audit, and there's lawsuit. Okay. So go around the board, everyone. Pick a pink square for your dream. And no, divorce is not a dream. Everybody laughs. Seriously, every time I say that, and everybody laughs. So if you can make people laugh, you're that much closer to a sale. Okay, so starting point down here, put your cheese, and then I'd ask, why is this a circle? They could have made it a line. They could have made it a zigzag. Why'd they make it a circle? Because it's the hamster wheel of life. If you do not escape this, you're just going to go round and round and round and round and round. Okay. The first 15 minutes of the event, you're explaining the game. Then we're going to play for an hour, take a little break, play for a half an hour, and then the pitch at the end. Orient them. You're going to explain each of these pieces. You're going to have, and then this is the other thing, the banker, when I say these are the game pieces, then the banker will point. I will have it on the screen, but the banker will point at the table. This is an opportunity card, and the banker takes his pen or pencil. These are the opportunity cards. These are the doodad cards. These are the market cards. This is paycheck on the square, this yellow paycheck. Now there's two rules to paycheck. You have to say paycheck, and you have to tell the banker how much it is. And you have to teach people this. This paycheck idea right here is changing the brainwashed mindset of W-2 employee that you actually have to invoice people. You have to say, pay me. If you're stuck in the W-2 world, you don't ever invoice anybody. So you don't have to think about, I'm an entrepreneur and I got to tell that guy to pay me and I got to tell that lady to pay me. So this is in the game. You have to say paycheck and you have to say the amount. If you don't, it gets skipped. If you don't say it and the next team member rolls a dice, you lost your opportunity to get paid. So it brings in this new habit and awareness for switching your brain. Like over the weekend, one of my friends just quit his job. He's been a plumber for the last 15 years of his life. And he was done with the commute. And I told him, dude, you're going to have to get an invoicing system. You're going to have to get used to telling people to pay you. That's how entrepreneurs are constantly oriented versus W-2. Okay, then have a baby. Now in the game, people boo-hoo about the game because your expenses go way up when you have a baby. But I want to make sure and honor life. So when you have a baby in the game, everybody cheers. Woo! You had a baby. Okay. Downsized means you got fired. Now, depending on the room, I will either make it so the game rules are pay all of your expenses, lose 2 turns. I will sometimes just change it to lose 1 turn. Okay, just so that the person's having a positive experience, because I've seen losing 2 turns be half an hour where someone has to sit there because 6 other people get the deal. They're running the numbers, they're analyzing, we're teaching the team, then they get skipped and everyone gets a turn and they're doing their deal and they get skipped again. It's not fun for them. So I usually do 1 turn skip on downsized. And then charity, this is spot on the board, give 10%, and then you can roll with 1, 2, or 3 dice for the next 3 turns if you donate to charity. Okay, so we'll explain these pieces here. pretty much how I just said. And then people always forget. So I have them read their sheet. They look at the top and it tells them their goal. Then they forget. Then I remind them again, what is the goal? And then I'll ask a student or a member to read it out loud. The goal of the game is to get out of the rat race and onto the fast track. How do you do it? You do it by creating more passive income than monthly expenses. And I have found this order of operations. I mean, think about it. We're teaching addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimal points, and fractions, all in this thing. So people who aren't math oriented can get overwhelmed easily. So this has kept people out of overwhelm by having a map. I insist that this is the map you teach your students how to play, your participants how to play. Every time you do a deal where you borrow money from the bank, you have to change 9 numbers on your sheet. 9 different categories. If you have a loan, you're going to write down the loan amount. Well, the loan comes with the loan payment. A loan payment is an expense. You have to update your total expenses. Then you got an asset. So you got to put that asset in your column here, whether it's a duplex or a single family or a commercial, whatever, you're going to write your asset. But it came with a liability. You didn't pay for it outright. You got a mortgage. So you're going to write down the mortgage liability here. So that's 4 and 5. And then because you bought an asset, it produces income. So you're going to have an income. It's a passive income. So you're going to now add the passive income line. Now the passive income's gone up, which means total income's gone up. So you got to edit the total income. And then you got to take your total income and your total expenses to get your new paycheck for the month. And that's number 9. I promise you, if you put it in this order, 90% of the problems and frustrations you have and sticking to the 2-hour block will be solved by just following this map. Okay, so as I'm explaining it and I'm clicking the clicker and the buttons are coming up, I tell everyone, write down the number 1 here, then 2 here on your sheet, and then I'll walk around the room. Hey, you didn't write it. Every once in a while, you want to get lost or you want the map? Write it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And then there's always one that doesn't. And then halfway through the game, they raise their hand. How do I fill it out? And I'll go over, oh, how about we start at 1? And then we'll go to 2 and 3. Because if you just go put in your income, you're like, oh, I bought a property and it's got 400 cash flow. And you put 400 right here on your cash flow. And then you try to add 400 here. No, you psych yourself out. And in real life, you'd be laughed out of the room and that bank would never talk to you again. This is why we practice here. Follow the map. Any questions about this slide before I move on or anything we've covered so far? We're going to go about another 15 minutes and we're going to wrap it up today.
Would you recommend doing the apps? Like I hear some people doing like saying, hey, download the apps, like maybe paper is better.
Paper is always better. Paper on the form, paper for the paper money. The app, no. The only reason why a phone would be on the table is for a calculator. And I don't want phones on the frickin' table because they are distractions. So I actually ask people to get rid of your phone, please, for the 2 hours we're here. And then I went to the dollar store and I bought 30 calculators and I put 5 calculators in each cash flow box. Pass out the calculators, erasers, pencils. This is a tactile experience and it will help etch in their minds the flow of the money because it's been ignored their entire life and they need to feel it. So don't use the app, put the phones away, get a dollar calculator. Yes, Christine.
I have a daughter and most of the time I cannot bring her to the Thursday night because it's like all adults. I wanted to know if they have people who are doing like cash flow with kids, cash flow kids section.
Not cash flow for kids, maybe like, you go to like a DECA chapter and like do something fun for that. But no, not for kids, but definitely bring kids. I think it's fantastic.
What I mean is like there's a board game that's for kids. So while the adults are doing the regular cash flow night, then like the kids can be over in another area. Too
complicated.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep it to one explanation. And then just the kid sits, if they're like 7 or and up, no problem. Sit with your mom. If you want your own sheet, or you and your mom work together on the same sheet. And
So you
the
don't have to get like
families
a
that,
kids game, but just do it as a family.
yeah, exactly. Keep it
Okay.
simple. And some kids will just be there because their parent needs to watch and learn. And the parent, and that's the thing is, I'll always tell my guests, yes, it's a game. If you want to bring your kids, if they're math oriented, they'll love it. Numbers, stories oriented, they're gonna love it. But they're definitely welcome. And if they just
Mhm.
want to play on their iPad or their book or their, toys in the corner, totally fine
Mhm.
because it will be a loud experience, so they won't be interrupting anything. So yeah,
Mhm.
about 50% of the time there was a kid in the room, and then the ICM that they join and they go, oh my goodness, I came to a business event and I wasn't shunned while I had my kid. This is
Yeah.
incredible. Here's my $26,000.
It's a big deal. It's just,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then they end up bringing their kids weekly, and it just creates a new vibe that when a new guest comes in and they see a member with their kid and the kid's happy, they're happy, everyone's happy to go. It's a safe place for me to work and grow.
well, we talk about generational wealth, and the next generation needs to learn the actual knowledge, not just inherit the
Exactly.
money.
Exactly.
So,
So we are walking the walk, right? It's
thank you.
beautiful. You bet. Okay, let's keep
Wow,
going.
I missed I missed the beginning of this.
Oh
Hey,
yeah, we're just creating
I,
a
how long ago you've started? Because I had to take Airbnb the short term as a guest. I had to deal with that
there's
answer.
always a trade-off.
Yeah, yes, I know. That's why I'm like, and I came back. I was like, oh, I missed this.
Oh,
So
Christine is going to be starting a new chapter in her county and was asking how I've done it. And I told her I did it with the cash flow games and
mhm.
house tours of various styles. And so now we're on to how to facilitate the game for profit.
Yeah, this is really great because I'm also thinking about starting this because I have a friend that has a restaurant. So we're actually doing this over there, and I was, targeting more for like people that would have questions, first time home buyers, this, basically a Q&A. And but I haven't had any. They're, sending my flyers. So, and I haven't been able to get people in. I talk to people while I'm there for that time slot, but I need people to come. So now we're thinking about maybe we're offering like maybe a late lunch because we're doing it on every other Saturday. That's we agreed, and like at 3:30. So I thought maybe a late lunch, would be that might encourage people and see how that goes.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about putting this like the cash flow game, and that might draw some people in. So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing this,
It will work
up.
for sure. It creates connection. And when people learn while they're having fun, they remember it forever. And so, yeah, it's definitely worth going through. I will say
Mm.
though, too, do not combine, well, maybe like two separate things, but don't have food or drinks at the table. Okay.
What I was gonna do is like they come early to eat, and then we'll get the event going. So that's what we're planning on doing. So if we start at 3:30, if you want to come and eat, maybe come half an hour before, and because I'll be there half an hour before if they do that. So it
Yeah.
helps with the restaurant as well with cash
Yeah.
flow.
Play with it. It might be better to do meal afterwards. That way you can linger a lot longer and close business.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would rather have that, but they close at 6 o'clock.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
we basically our time is from 3:30 to 5:30, and normally around that time because it is kind of like a buffet. Well, it's not really a buffet, but you tell them what you want. They have combos and all that, and then they just order it. They give it to them in a plate, and then they'll just eat. So, but then if we do that after, so we would have like half an hour. So I'm not sure. I'll talk with them and see if that would be a possibility. But then also the food, it won't be as much if it is closing to close time because they're not gonna be preparing more for
Yeah,
around
I
that
see.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, makes
that's
sense.
why we're kind of leaning towards before. before the event starts. So yeah, I'll talk with them, see what we can. But yeah, that's
Cool.
what we want to make it into a win-win, because I really think, this is gonna work, but they let me pass out my flyer, and they let me talk to, their customers as they come in or out. So I give them my flyer, and so I thought, well, this would be a good way to, help, people, and at the same time, grow our community. So
Nice.
thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna watch this again.
Yeah,
This.
you're on the right track for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing that people need to learn too while they're in the game is that this profession up here, I tell them write down your profession and then write down your color, because halfway through the game people forget what color they are and they move other people's pieces. So everything in this presentation has been nitpicky, OCD'd. How am I going to make sure that in my 2 hours I can make 20 grand a week? Okay, so it's all in here. If you have a question about why I put something in here, I'm happy to explain it. But the more you take out or modify, the more variables you're creating, and I can't guarantee results at that point. Okay, let me check the chat real quick, see a few things coming through. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, awesome. Yep.
I'm noticing on the game night at Richard Start, is it $50?
Yeah, he wants a $50 monthly subscription from people to be able to put into his event. So just shoot him a message if it's a one-time thing and ask him for the promo code.
Okay. All right, and that's on the 8th of October. And
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard and Kendall Stock from the Idaho team are crushing it these last like 6 weeks. So yeah, he's yeah, reach out to him. He did that whole state fair thing and just scooped up a bunch of leads. So anyway, this sheet right here, you can see at the beginning or at the top, it says the goal. It's like I was saying a minute ago, have somebody read it out loud to the group. Just this one statement: gather rat race on the fast track by building up your passive income, be greater than total expenses. You need number 7 to be higher than number 3. The whole psych out of our entire economy and our society is focusing on number 8. I need to make a big income. If your income is 50 grand a month and your expenses are 60 grand a month, you're still poor. It's not number 8. It's the ratio of 7 and 3. If 7 is higher than 3, you're out. You can say goodbye to traffic. You can say goodbye to all kinds of unnecessary time. This is what we need to get our students to be focusing on. Okay, then we'll go into bank loans. I'll say some type of joke about great news, everyone. In this game, you all have a 1 million credit score. Okay, the best you can get, which means you can get any amount of money under these 3 caveats: $1,000 increments, payments are interest only, and the interest is 120%. Is anyone interested? And everyone goes, what? I say, okay, let's keep it simple. How many months are in a year? 12. So what is the monthly interest rate? 10%. And then I will go to the whiteboard. And you need to draw this out because people are visual learners. You need to draw it out, okay? 2 examples. So let's say you need a loan for $3,000. You can get it. You just tell the banker, I want to buy this house. I need a $3,000 loan. You will add it to your number 1 on your sheet that we just covered. But then you have a number 2 on that, which is the payment. So if it's $120 a year, then it's $10 a month. So what is 10% of 3,000? Also, just as a presentation tip, never answer your own questions. If you find yourself answering your own questions in a presentation, you either didn't ask it effectively, you didn't create a safe space, or you're not paying attention. Only ask questions that the crowd is going to answer and set it up in a way that they can. And don't move forward if it's quiet. If it gets awkward, what's 10% of 3,000 and I got a room of 25, 30 people and it's completely silent, I'll say, hello. And then someone will laugh. If they don't answer, then I'll say, guys, are we still on talking terms? Then a bunch more laughs, and then someone will finally yell, 300. Got it. And here's how we find the answer. Super simple, guys, in case you didn't know. All you have to do is drop the last zero from what you borrowed, and that is your payment. Whoa, sorry. Down, do not disturb ×2. Anyway, okay, so that's how you find a payment. Let's say you got a big deal coming and you need to borrow 50,000 for your deal. What is the payment on 50,000? That's right. Drop the last zero and that'll tell you your payment. Your payment is $5,000. So 2 examples, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Hints and pointers. Use your eraser, write lightly. If anyone has a pen, put a pencil in their hand. Go to the dollar store, get 1,000 pencils, have a little pencil sharpener, a little 5-cent pencil sharpener in every box, and then a bunch of those big erasers. Okay, because the eraser on the top of the pencil will last 1 game, but the pencil will last 30 games. So bunch of just fat erasers, pencils, calculators, all ready, okay? And then I tell people, you're going to erase a lot, so please write lightly. Some people just like dig into their paper, write lightly, use an eraser. Listen carefully, no side chatter. Listen carefully as each card is read, because, hey, maybe what Steve is reading is going to affect Tim. And if Tim is dilly-dallying with Gilda over on having their old side conversation, Tim misses the opportunity and it's Gilda's fault. So don't be one of those turds that makes the person read the card again. And then no one wants to be a turd. So I do say the word turd in front of the room. Don't be the turd that makes them read the card again. Honor your teammates and listen carefully as each card is read. Now, if you need clarity, obviously, but don't make them read it again because you weren't paying attention. Remember to ask for your payday. Play the game as though you live your real life. So if you're sitting there wondering, what should I do? Then default to what you would do in real life. And then the benefit of this simulation is you can see the consequences of that decision play out right in front of you. You can see 5 or 10 years in the game inside of 2 hours. So you can see those decisions. And that's how I'll explain it to them. So play the game as though you live your real life. Watch the strategies that others employ and don't coach others. This has been the most, I want to say annoying, but that's not really it. It's the squeakiest wheel. It needs the most grease because we're a community of helpful people. Helpful AF. We are so helpful that we want to actually win the game for them, but don't do that. They lose the opportunity to learn when you do that. So don't coach others, meaning don't give hints like, oh, bad deal, good deal. I do that. I wouldn't do that. 0 of that at the table. That eliminates the learning possibility. So don't do that. If the student or the guest needs clarification of what the card means, by all means, tell them what it means, but don't tell them what to do. If they say, well, then what would you do? Then you would say, I would do my best. So what do you want to do? Do you want to buy it? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to pass? There's no right or wrong answer, but you have to make the decision. Well, they're like, well, I don't know. What does this card mean? Then we can go through it. But again, you're not going to tell them what to do. Because then how do you know? How do you know that Steve's advice is perfect for Eric? Maybe the plan for what Eric wants to have in his life, and in that moment, what Steve gives him sends him off in this different direction, even though Steve had great intentions and Eric is coachable. Don't coach others at the table. And at one point, it got to where I was issuing $1,000 fines for coaching. Right? Because I'm walking around the room while they're playing and listening. And, oh, Tim just told Susie, it's a good deal. You should do it. Tim, that's $1,000 fine. Hand it over. So anyway, don't coach. Free coaching. Come on. What's that worth? And then that also sets us up to be able to talk about our program. And then most importantly, celebrate the success of others. So remember, if someone had a baby, cheer, but definitely if someone gets out of the rat race. And then the key here, folks, is you're getting the buy-in on the celebration. So then I raise my energy. All right. So for example, let's pretend right now that Steve just got out of the rat race. Woo! And then the whole room erupts in a cheer. And now we got our high energy. And then I say, all right, guys, let's play. Then I hit the music. Then they start rolling the dice, and then we got our big energy. And it took 15 or so minutes, depending on questions, to prep them for play. And then we're going to play for 45 minutes to an hour. Obviously, watch the clock. And then at halftime, we're going to go over cash flow patterns. Okay, at halftime, we're going to go over a few points. I'll have them flip their sheet over and say, guys, I want you to take home something here. So let's pause for a minute. And then at that pause, all your bankers are going to start shushing everybody. Okay, be quiet. Michael's got to say something real quick, and then we'll get back to the game. Yeah, and they're so wrapped up middle of their deal. Tell me no, hold on. Instructor's talking. I promise I'll answer your question, but the instructor's talking. So we're going to pay attention to that. Cash flow patterns. There's only 3. We'll go over it quickly. Cash flow pattern number 1 is what poor people do. Some of you guys may recognize this in yourself. You don't have to admit it, but recognition is half the battle. Poor people, their money comes in, their money goes out. Boring. That's it. Notice that the income level, the amount of income doesn't matter. It's the flow. It's the pattern. It could be 1,000 a month or 100,000 a month. If you do this, boop, boop, you're poor. Middle class people will do something like this. Their money comes in. They buy a liability. What's down here in this part of our balance sheet, income statement? It's a liability. Liabilities create expenses. Expenses. Oops, one too many. And then those expenses go out. So their income comes in, they buy a liability. Liability creates an expense. We got this loop here. We got the circle. What else is the circle we've been talking about tonight? And then people will yell, the rat race. Exactly. So don't follow this either. What do the wealthy do? And I'll reiterate. What do wealthy do? And again, it doesn't matter the level of income. It's the habits. It's the patterns that will make you poor, middle class, or wealthy. Habitually, wealthy people buy assets. I can't help it. I got a problem. I only buy assets. Okay? It's a habit. It's a compulsion. I just keep buying valuable things that go up over time. What do assets produce? Assets produce an income. And wealthy mindset takes that income to cover their expenses. There's no getting rid of expenses. That's not how this life is set up. There's always going to be groceries, gas, taxes, insurance, this, that, the other. So it's not about getting rid of expenses. That's another trap for the mouse. What really we need to do is have assets pay for the expenses. Okay, so if all you get from today's workshop is those 3 cash flow patterns, when you go home, you take this piece of paper and you put it on your fridge in the morning and you say, look, honey, while you're having your breakfast and your coffee, and you say, honey, I'm tired of this. We're switching to that. And good news, Michael told us it doesn't matter the amount of money. It's just the habit. And you're going to send them home with the sheet too. And then we'll do a exercise. And we're running out of time. On this card, we remind them on the second half of the game, because remember, we're in halftime right now. We're actually only going to look at the numbers. We're not going to look at the distraction that was up here. None of this tells you whether it's a good deal or not, and you've been fooled by it. What we need to pay attention to is ROI, equity, and cash flow. And we're going to develop a strategy. What's the minimum ROI you want for your deal so you can say yes? What's the minimum cash flow so you can say yes? Minimum equity so you can say yes. Write it on the top of your sheet somewhere. Just think about it. There's no right or wrong answer. You just need a metric so that when the next deal comes up, if 2 of the 3 meet your requirement, then you do the deal. You say yes, and we can speed the thing up. I want the rest of you to get out of the rat race before we end the workshop. Now, quick question for you. How many of you have had a ton of fun? Do you know, raise your hand if you know someone that could benefit from playing this game. Okay, bankers, look around, look around. How many of you would be willing to invite someone to come play with us? Put your hand up if you would be willing to invite someone to come and play with us. Bankers, look around. Anyone with their hand up gets $10,000. Ah, $10,000. You get 10,000. You get 10,000. You get 10,000. Okay, about 15 seconds, 30 seconds of chaos. All right, guys, I need your attention back. We're not done yet. Be quiet. $10,000. Yes, I know. Very exciting. But I got a question. Why is this a part of the game? Why do you think? Why? Why is $10,000? Why is this in here? And get people thinking. Referrals. Your network is your net worth. Wholesaling deals, fees. Of course, we're creating an economy here. If you referred me a deal and I made $100,000, would it be easy for me to give you 10 grand? Absolutely. Absolutely. So referrals, deal opportunities, it all comes together. So in our organization, there's many ways for you to make money, especially by helping us grow our community. If you help invite people and they decide to get involved in our business, you're creating profit and benefits that we would happily share with you. You got that? And then I give them a scenario, a deal, because sometimes the cards, they're coming up randomly. They might not have a good deal for a while. So then we put this deal up on the board. Now, we just gave them $10,000. To do this deal is only $2,000. If they don't do the deal, you got to wonder, okay? They're missing something. But almost everyone does this deal. And then we'll point out, what's the cash flow? What's the ROI? What's the equity position? Does it meet your numbers? If yes, do the deal. By the way, if anyone has a real estate deal that they bought so far and they had a doodad, you had to pay $1,000 for a car repair or whatever, you can get half the money back from the bank. And then that creates this whole conversation for the future about taxes for wealthy versus tax for the poor. Play by your strategy, and then we'll play another 30 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up with it. What did you learn? I'll go around to each table. Here's some ideas, folks. But if you, what did you learn about debt? Aaron, what did you learn about assets versus liabilities? Carla? And you get each person, or at least one at each table, each one represented from the table to share something, usually from this list. What did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn? Okay, great. Well, what's keeping you from playing cash flow in real life? You should come back tomorrow to learn about our taxes, banking, business, real estate, and then I would edify the speaker, if it's Bob or if it's Scott or Mitch or whomever. At that point, we're wrapping it up. Come and join us tomorrow right here in this room or however you're doing it. If you thought this was fun, wait till you see the next one. And that's usually where I would end it. And I would put the information about the event right here. But if we're doing it on a Saturday, instead of it being 2 hours, I make it 3 hours. And then I go into the pitch and the Renatus pitch and the whole thing. We walk through how I was, working the crappy jobs and the terrible taxes and the mortgages and the student loans. And my day one in Renatus, I was broke, confused, lost, frustrated. But I had one thing going for me: an open mind. That was the old me. Then we get into this and the solutions, which I already showed you. Bragging on Renatus, and then you tell them to pay you. So last night when we were doing our follow-up, that's exactly what I did. I asked him what he liked about what he saw. And then I said, okay, great. Do you have any more questions before we sign you up? And he sat there and he talked with his wife. And it's not my guest, okay? I'm a 5-star. There's a 5-star under me. She has a new ICM, and it was that ICM's guest that we were talking to. So I made it that that ICM has to be on the call. The 5-star in between us has to be on the call, and me. So all 4 of us, well, 5, because it was a husband-wife thing. We're all there talking, supporting, helping. And I asked him, any question before we get started? And the husband and wife talked for like 5 minutes off of mute at each other, and we're just watching. And they turned to the screen. No questions. Okay, great. How are you going to pay for it? And he goes, I only have a credit card. I said, we'll make that work. And then put the order in. So keep it simple, folks. You have the best income opportunity in front of you. And life rewards you when you help others. So the cash flow game is a great way to help someone see a new future for themselves where they can be out of the rat race. Yes, it will take years of work, but those years are going to go by anyway. You might as well be rich. And then I tell people as we're wrapping it up, hey guys, if you want to stay, hang out, whatever, I'll be here as long as you want. If you got questions, and please take your sheet home. Teach somebody, teach your spouse, your kids, whatever, about what you learned tonight, and then come back next week or next month when we do it again. And then, of course, there's house tours and events along the way. And then play a little music, and then make friends, network, go around, close people, do your best. Sounds like a ton of fun, right? Speaking of a ton of fun, I got to go. So thank you for the time and attention.
Well,
As
thank you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was awesome. I'm gonna have to rewatch this.
It's going to be a ton of fun. You put this into practice, you're going to make a lot of money and change a lot of lives.
How soon is this going to be available on the Facebook Team Elevate?
Within 1 to 5 days.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Or maybe you can just give us a link though tomorrow.
Yeah. Just keep checking the YouTube channel. Jasmine's pretty quick about getting that stuff up. So, yeah.
Thanks, Huggins.
Eric.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You guys bet.
This was awesome.
Yeah, don't forget about me.
Nope, I got you. I got you.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Go be productive. We'll see you soon.
Have a great one. Thank you so much. Eric.
You're a stud, Michael. Thanks, man.
Mwah. Bye for now.